Monica. She works at a sober living house. She was doing an intake, and a young lady, she had to go through the lady's bag, and she found one of our RCA newsletters. She said, hey, how'd you get this newsletter? You go to my church? She goes, no, I was at Fairmont Park the other day, and there was a group of people telling people about Jesus, and they prayed with me, and I knew I had to get my life in order, and so that's why I'm here, because they prayed with me, and I realized I need Jesus, and so I came here, and she smiled and said, this is my church, you want to come? And I said, yeah, I do want to come. There's another guy the week before from Fairmont Park. He's been playing basketball with us ever since. And somebody came up to him and said, hey, can I pray for you? We're telling people about Jesus Christ. And he said, you know, it's a funny thing. I went to church for the first time last week. I do want to learn more about Jesus Christ. And he's playing with us every week in the basketball league, and bringing his family to church. Why? Because people are doing the work. If you go and you're willing to pray and you're willing to invite people, and if we're willing to post, if we're willing to share, if we're willing to send this message out to the world. Harlan Vanover is the oldest 6th degree black belt in taekwondo. He's over 96 years old. This guy fought in World War II and was shot down 3 times as a pilot. After World War II, he became a medical doctor for years, raised his family. When he was 59 years old, he wanted to take a taekwondo class. He said, I'd always wanted to do that, so I'm going to do it. And he started, and he loved it, and he was learning. He had good instructors, and after 5 years, he got his black belt, and another 5 years, he got his 2nd degree black belt, and he kept on training. Well, not long ago, right before he turned 96 years old, he got his 6th degree black belt. And he was interviewed about it. They said, hey, you must be the oldest black belt. He said words to the effect of, if you expect something to happen and it doesn't happen right away, it'll keep happening if you keep working. But it takes a lot of work. And if you have good teachers, it's worth the work. And it's one thing when the preacher and the evangelist gives the altar call and thousands of people come on the field and they give the altar call and people are pouring their heart out to God. That's awesome. Heaven's rejoicing. And those people ought to be in the pews. And those people ought to continue learning. You don't get to be a 6th degree black belt just because you showed up and you passed one test. It's a continual state of learning and growing. And in John chapter 8, verse 31, if you continue in my words, then you are my disciple. In Acts chapter 2, after they're baptized, it says, and they continued in the apostles' teaching. If my word abides in you. One of my favorite UFC fighters of all time, he was the best in the business for a while. His name was Matt Hughes. Came from Iowa. He was a farm boy, and he had farm boy strength. He was one of those guys, lighter weight guy, just built like a tank. And he'd get in there and he'd just pick the other guy up and just slam him. And the crowd would go wild. He was the champion for a very long time. And they said, Matt, how did you get so strong? He said, I'm a farm boy. All farm boys are strong. We got that corn-fed strength. And they kind of laughed. He said, what do you mean by that? He goes, we get up before the sun gets up. We feed the animals, we bale the hay, we fix the fences. We do work all day, every day. That's why I'm strong. If you want to be strong, then serve other people. That's how we get strong. That's why we get strong. If you want to get smarter, get wiser, then teach other people. Help other people along the way. Don't just get strong for yourself so you can flex in the mirror. Yeah, starting to get the bicep. All right. Get the biceps so you can help your neighbor move, all right? Get the biceps so you can help other people when they're needed. In Luke chapter 22, when Peter's going to deny Jesus, he says, when you're restored, make sure you spend time strengthening the brother. In Acts chapter 6, the deacons, people like Stephen, the first martyr. People like Philip, who witnessed to the Ethiopian eunuch, who was transported, who saw miracles, and God healed people. I mean, these deacons, they preached and people couldn't argue. Souls were saved, baptisms were had, miracles were going on by the hands of these deacons. But before they were preaching, before they were out there in the public ministering, they were serving tables. They were feeding the widows. They were making sure that the little old lady had enough food to eat. You know, if we would do the small things, God will make sure we get to do the big things. Maybe